Hello everyone, Gebatron here. In this video, we're going to go over the commander orders in the game Hell Let Loose. This video is being recorded in May of 2020, which is right after the developers have released Update 6, which added ballistics, a new map, Hill 400. They've added recon vehicles, which are interesting. They made some offensive mode changes, and there was an overall engine upgrade, which makes the maps look a little different. Another thing we can celebrate is my channel has now over 100 subscribers. Yay! Thanks a lot, guys, for all your support. I only ever really expected to have like 15 subscribers who were all just my friends supporting me, but that is not the case. You guys have really supported me, and I really appreciate that. I did make an older video about Commander Orders. I will have to change the name of that video to Commander Orders Guide Outdated. I don't want to take it down. I want to leave it up just so, people can have a reference of where the game has come from, where it's going, and also for my own reference. So yeah, I'll leave a link to that video in the description below. Check that out if you want. Okay, let's get into the orders. Let's hit our T key. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner, Gebatron is spawned in as the commander. You have to be the commander in order to call in these commander orders. Let's hit the M key to bring up the map. And along the right-hand side, you'll see the word orders, and then all these different orders here. The first four all take manpower, the second four all take munitions, and these last three take fuel. Now those are referred to as resources, and if you look across the top here, you'll see munitions, 491 plus 3 per minute, manpower, 531 plus 3 per minute, fuel, 509 plus 3 per minute. If you want to learn more about resources and how to gain more of them, I will put a link to a resource node guide in the description below. Just to summarize it here real quick, we're getting +3 of all these resources because on the map we control these strong points, and every time you capture a strong point, you instantly get 50 of that resource and then +3. So if we were to capture the anti-aircraft battery here, we would instantly get another 50 munitions, and we would get an additional +3, bringing this to +6 per minute. Okay, let's get into the orders. We'll start with the manpower orders here. Reinforce. If you hover over it, you can read what they say, and they're all set up the same. They have a picture, they tell you what they are, and then this number on the right hand tells you how much of that resource you need in order to call it in. Reinforce. Temporarily increases the capture power of all sector strong points in a friendly controlled sector. Now, if you don't know what sectors are, I made a map guide. I will put a link to that video in the description below as well, but I strongly recommend that you check that video out before moving along any further in this one. But maybe you know all about that stuff. If you click on the button, this will show up on the map, and you can place this wherever you want on the map, but it only works in a few spots. Like right now we have it over here. It says cannot place here, and the map has this yellow tinge around it. If we put it in the sector containing the chapel, it will light up green. It says click to place. Now normally, if you have, let's say we're here and you have an enemy soldier and you're both in the same sector, you will count the same. Now if you are in the chapel strong point and the enemy soldier is outside, you will count as double and you will outnumber the enemy and you will capture the sector. If there are more enemy in a sector than friendlies, you will begin to lose it. What this reinforce order does is you can put it in the sector that you're losing, click it, and now everyone in that strong point will count for more than they normally do. A player outside of the strong point counts as 1, a player inside the strong point counts as 2, but a player inside the strong point with the reinforce order called in will count as 4. Now that lasts for 2 minutes. Once you click it, it has a 5-minute cooldown before you can use it again, and you gain 50 experience points just by calling it in. Now let's hover over Encourage. Sectors will temporarily generate more resources when captured. As we talked about a little earlier, up here it says, munitions 500 plus 3 per minute, etc., etc. If you click on Encouraged, this is not something you place on the map. It just encompasses everything. And you click on it, you will notice up here that now we are gaining +6 per minute on all of our resources instead of +3 per minute. It doubles what you are currently getting. That does not include nodes. If we had nodes up here, it would not increase. Like if we were gaining 10 munitions per minute and then we click encouraged, it would not give us 20. It would only give us an extra 3. So just be aware of that. Encouraged lasts for 5 minutes. We will gain +6 versus +3 for 5 minutes. We can only use that once every 10 minutes. It takes 30 manpower, of course, and you get 50 experience points just for calling that one in. Now, final stand, let's hover over it. Your team will not lose any resources for a short time. If you click final stand, that is also something you do not place on the map, and we click confirm order. It will cost us our 30 manpower, but now every other, let's just do a supply drop here. We'll cover this later. Now, look at munitions up here. We have 506. Let's call it in. We still have 506 because final stand makes it so we do not lose any resources for a short time. That effect lasts for 1 minute. So once you click on that, you have 1 minute to call in other orders for free. You can only do that once every 10 minutes. There's a 10-minute cooldown on that. And you get 50 experience points just for calling that in. Moving on to Dismantle Garrison. This is something new from Update 6. You can see it says immediately dismantle a friendly garrison. Why would you want to do this? There is a team limit of 10 garrisons. So if we were to have 10 garrisons up on the map, but we needed new ones in better locations, this is a way that you could do that. You can also have the squad leaders dismantle the garrisons that they have put up, and the commander can still dismantle any friendly garrison on his own without using this order, but by actually walking up to it. In the description below, I'll leave a link to a playlist where I cover all that kind of stuff. Anyway, you click on this, click the garrison you want to remove. Let's say we don't want this one back here. Hit confirm order, and that garrison has immediately been dismantled from the map. Personally, I don't know if I would use this a whole lot. Manpower is usually a pretty short resource anyway. It costs 50 manpower to call that in. There's a 5-minute cooldown. You don't get any experience from it. It does, however, notify the officer who built the garrison that their garrison has been dismantled. You know, that's up to you. Maybe there's a situation where you need a garrison really quick where that could come in really handy. Moving on to munitions, the first one under munitions, we have supply drop. Here it says, a plane flies over and drops a crate of supplies via parachute to the area. If we click on that, that's something we can move around the map. Let's say we want to prepare an assault on AA battery, so let's get some supplies here so we can build a garrison there. You click on it, on confirm order, and that will drop wherever you want it. It takes 1 minute and 10 seconds roughly for that supply drop to hit the ground. There's roughly a 2-minute cooldown on it, so you can use it once every 2 minutes. You get 50 XP just for calling that in. Where are you going to drop these things? Squad leaders and stuff will leave you marks. I will put a link in the description below to a mark video that I made, so check that out. Moving on, we have Recon Plane. Call in a reconnaissance plane to briefly surveil the battlefield. This is new for Update 6. You click on that, and it will bring up this little icon here, which you can move around the map. Now I have a friend, Fairytale, is in grid square G6. So let's just call this in. We'll take a little bit to get here. It has a 40-second effect. So it only really stays on the map for about 40 seconds. It has a 2.5-minute cooldown. You get 50 XP just for calling that in. It is something that you place on the map. It doesn't matter where this circle is, it will just show up, you know, this whole line. You could put that circle back here. The circle doesn't matter. If you want to change the direction, you click on that circle and it will change the direction that it comes from. Now you can see this plane has gone over where Fairytale is, and it's just a small red dot. That red dot is static. Now if she was running, it would still just be a red dot. It would not show any more. Back here you can see there are enemy vehicles. And if they were moving, it would not show that on the map. These marks are static. Okay, moving on to Strafing Run. Calls in a devastating strafing run on a designated location, effective against infantry. If we click on that, we can place that on the map. We saw Fairing Tail was down here. You can still see that red mark. So let's bring it up. Let's try and get her. If you click on this circle, it will change the direction that comes from. Right now the arrow is pointing down, so the plane will come from like the north to the south here. So let's click on that. Strafing Run takes 10 seconds to get to the map. It's pretty quick. We'll hear it here any second. There it goes. It has a 4-minute cooldown. You can only use that once every 4 minutes. It used to be 2 minutes. I'd imagine if you put these two together, the Recon Plane with the Strafing Run, it can be pretty devastating, especially because it only takes 10 seconds to get in. So I'd imagine that's why they changed that to 4-minute cooldown. You get 75 experience points just for calling that in. Let's move on to Bombing Run. Calls in a bombing run on designated location, effective against infantry and most vehicles. If we click on this, it's the same operation. You put it wherever you want. Click on the circle to change the direction it comes from. Let's just put it in front of us here so we can see what it looks like. That takes 75 munitions. A bombing run takes about 30 seconds to get to the map. It's a 10-minute cooldown. You can only use it once every 10 minutes. You get 100 XP just for calling that in. Here we're about to see this bombing run. There's the plane. Here we're about to see the bombs fall. That's what a bombing run looks like. It's extremely effective against soft targets. It will destroy enemy vehicles. It has to be a perfect hit. I do not recommend it. Okay, finally we get to the commander orders that deal with the fuel resource. Here we have heavy armor, medium armor, and recon. It's a little different for the Americans. Right now we're the Germans. We have access to the Tiger 1, which costs us 100 fuel, the Panther, which costs us 60, and the Puma recon vehicle, which costs us 30. In order to place these on the map, you click on them, and it shows up here in the middle right away, but you can only actually place them in any one of your 3 headquarters. You can click on the map and they can go there, but you can't actually spawn them there. So let's click on this middle HQ, let's confirm our order, and boom, there's our Tiger. A beautiful machine. Alright, the heavy armor for the Germans has a 5.5-minute cooldown before you can call another one in. You don't get any experience for spawning in this armor. Now there are some rules when it comes to how you can do this. Since this Tiger is sitting here, we can no longer call in armor in that spot until someone moves it. We can call it into this far northern HQ or this far southern HQ. We can still call it in there. Boom. Now we have a Panther up there as well. But we can't call anything in the center one until this Tiger has moved. That's the first thing you need to know. The second thing you need to know is that you can only spawn in 5 pieces of armor at a time. If one of those pieces is destroyed, you can call an additional one in. But if you have called all 5 pieces of armor in, doesn't matter which ones they are, they can all be Tigers, they can all be recon vehicles, doesn't matter. But as long as 5 of the ones that you have called in are in the map, you will no longer be able to call any more in. Most maps you spawn in with armor already existing on the map, so it's 5 plus those. So for the Germans, at least on Utah here, I haven't tested all the maps, but at least on Utah, the Germans are capable of having 8 total pieces of armor on the map at any one time, 5 of them being ones that you call in yourself. The medium tank, the Panther, has a 4.5-minute cooldown, and you do not get any XP for calling that in. The Puma here, let's place this one at the far southern one. That's what that looks like on the map. It's got a little pyramid with a dot in it. That has a 1.5-minute cooldown. You do not get any XP for calling that in either. There are differences between the Americans and the Germans though, so let's switch over to the Americans. Here we are switched over to the Americans, and you'll see that they have heavy armor, Sherman Jumbo 76mm, Sherman Jumbo 75mm, both costing 85. If you call one of these in, the same rules apply. You can only call 5 in at a time. However, they start off with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the map. Here's the one we called in. So they are capable of having 10 pieces of armor on the map at a time, while the Germans are only allowed to have 8. That may change with, feedback or imbalance issues, as we're testing out this update 6, but my guess is that really won't change, as it's meant to represent the historical differences in production capacity between the two nations. The heavy armor for the Americans, the 76mm Jumbo, has a 4.5 minute cooldown. The 75mm Jumbo has a 4-minute cooldown. So there's a little difference between the two. And they also have the M8 Greyhound here, which has the 1-minute 30-second cooldown. Some of these things might change, guys, as they introduce new vehicles, in the future. This concludes the Commander Orders Guide for the game Hell Let Loose. If you guys have any questions or anything you want to chat about, get active in those comments. I'd really like to thank all of you who have already subscribed to my channel, pushing me over that 100 subscriber mark. I really appreciate the support. Stick around, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to have a video on recon vehicles coming up in the next week or two. I'm going to do a video on the differences between warfare on offensive mode. So make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Like this video if you liked it. Share it with your friends or your community. Really appreciate you guys tuning in.